Have you ever done CD before?
No.
Okay, so the light source for the CD is a xenon lamp. Okay, that would take oxygen from the air, turn it into ozone, and the ozone would etch all the optics in there, which would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So whenever we're doing CD, we flow nitrogen through the machine to take away any ozone that might be produced.
Okay.
So that's how we always start, is flushing the whole machine with nitrogen.
Okay, so flushing it before starting.
Yeah, before anything, yeah. So on top of this live some SOPs.
Okay.
These are all the different kinds of scans that people have been doing.
Okay.
And the things in plastic are the parts that everyone has to do the same.
Sounds good.
Okay, so turning it on.
Okay.
And turning it off and converting your data to something useful. Okay, so everyone has to do those.
Okay.
So what we'll do is, and this lives here for your reference at all times, and we'll just go through this right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So the first thing we do is we turn on the nitrogen at the tank. So it's about a half turn of this valve that's marked 1.
Okay.
We should turn that to the left, and what we'll do is we'll watch the position of this black plug. And turn that until we want the top of the black plug to go above the red pointer.
Okay.
A little bit more, because, okay, perfect. Because what's going to happen is, as all the nooks and crannies are filled, it'll sink down. We're lucky this machine has a nitrogen alarm on it.
Wait, what does that mean?
If the nitrogen runs out, you'll hear ee, and then in 15 minutes it will turn itself off.
Sounds good.
We used to have to babysit an old machine, never leave the room, because there was no alarm. But now we have a nitrogen alarm, so that's a good thing to have. Okay, yes. It says check the flow rate to see that the top of the black plug is above the red pointer. Ta-da!
So it was a little. Okay, yeah.
A little bit up.
As long as
Yeah,
it
it's
stays
good. As long as it's stable, that's a good thing. And now you enter the time you do this into the logbook. The logbook being over here.
So, is it the
It's the 20th. Yeah. What happened to March?
see.
All right, so then now you turn on the computer and wait till it's totally booted up. The on switch is right there. If you're not going to do room temperature, we need to turn on the chiller.
Okay.
That's the next thing in this little protocol, is to turn on the computer. If you're going to be doing temperature work, turn on the chiller. This is a chiller for gaming computers. It's really cool. You just push that little switch back, and you'll see a pinwheel start to move in the blue tubing, and the fans go on. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, you always need that for any kind of temperature work, heating or cooling. It's Peltier.
Okay.
Okay. Now, turn on the CD power switch. That's down here. Click, and we'll hear some snapping noises. All right, so down here, what we do next is, why don't you come around here, you're going to be driving.
Okay.
You're going to double click on Spectrometer. That's the Uber software.
Okay.
And you can see these are all the different kinds of scans you can do.
Okay.
And this is a lot of different analysis you can do. And what we're going to do, everyone starts off using spectrum measurement, which is the first one for seeing if the light is stable. So double click on that one. And it is now going to purge 5 minutes more of nitrogen. Jasko said we need to purge it between 5 and 10 minutes. So we were fooling around for a while, and now it's going to be 5 more minutes before it will turn the lamp on.
Okay.
We are at a strange wavelength. This is someone not doing protein work.
Yeah.
People who do nanoparticle stuff coming here all the time. So what we want to do is, actually, the protocol actually says it. You want to check the wavelength between 260 and 300. So to manually change the nanometers from 600, you click on this little nanometer icon and put in 260, why not, and say okay. And now it will move itself to get to 260. And we don't see any voltage here or any milli-degrees because the shutter is closed. You can see the lamp is on, little yellow guy. It actually says XE there for xenon. It's hard to read.
Okay.
In order to see if the lamp is stabilized, we need to open the shutter. So that's that little door. Just click that,
Okay.
open it up, and light comes through. It's so
Okay.
cute. And in a minute, we'll see some numbers. Okay, so these are the numbers we want to look at.
Okay.
They're going to be fluctuating
Yeah.
until the lamp stabilizes. And we want to give it 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
We want the range of fluctuation to be 0.4 millidegrees. Okay, so when it's within that range, then we're good to go.
Okay.
So now what we can do is switch over to the other protocol, which is specifically this kind of scan, spectrum measurement. We're already in spectrum manager, sorry, and we're already in spectrum measurement. What we're going to do is we're going to set up the parameters for your scan,
Okay.
and you can keep these at the end, so you don't have to remember this
Yes.
every single time.
Perfect.
So go to measure, and at the bottom choose parameters. Okay, so this machine can collect 4 channels worth of data. Most people are just sticking with 3. The CD is the rotation of the light.
Yeah.
That's what you came for. HT is high tension. That's the voltage on the photomultiplier tube.
Okay.
If that gets too high, that means your data is shaky. And you
Okay.
need to always know what your high tension value is during your scan.
Okay.
And everyone's taking absorbance as well. You can do all 3 at once, you might as well, right? Okay, so now the last person started at 600. You probably want more classic protein
Yes.
scans, which is 250, and try to get it to 190. We'll see how your cuvette does. Every cuvette's a little bit different.
Okay.
When you get down to those wavelengths, the quartz itself can start to absorb. Well, we'll see when we scan the water.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, the data, this is all written here in case I'm not here. The data pitch, 0.5 nanometers is the default. It's been working for just about everybody. You want to start immediately unless your samples are light sensitive,
Okay.
right? And continuous is what you want. You want to hit every wavelength on the way down. The scanning speed of 50 nanometers per minute is good. And the CD scale of 20 millidegrees that's pretty good too. Unless 200 millidegrees per 1 difference of OD for proteins. If you have really small signal, CD signal, we could change that. But
Okay.
we'll see what you've got. We don't know yet.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have a fluorescence option, so don't even look at that. The DIT is digital integration time, and it's set at 4 seconds. The DIT times the scanning speed should be 200 or less, and the defaults, that's been working really well
Okay.
for just about everybody. If we need to tweak things, we will.
Okay.
The bandwidth of 1 nanometer has also been working great. This software has the capability of doing replicates for you if you want to do it. Now, one disadvantage to that is if it does triplicates, it just gives you 1 scan of the average, and you don't ever find out what the standard deviation was. So people who are concerned about their standard deviations and they want 3, they'll do 3 separate ones, and then they have all the data.
Yeah.
It's just a little quirk of the software. If you didn't want it to do that, you would uncheck accumulation, and that would, it would just do
yeah,
1.
I mean, we can start with 1.
Okay. Then take away that 2, I think. Yeah. Right. Okay. So this panel is all taken care of. Now move to cell unit. This is where we're going to set the temperature.
Okay.
The temperature readings are down here. Right now, it's trying to do 25, but the software is not connected, so it's a little bit higher than that. But you want it to work at 4, correct?
Yes.
So why don't you enter that? Now it says 4.00, and it won't notice that until we start.
Oh,
Okay, but we are set for it. And the holder is the thing that we're looking at. There's a big long holder for holding 6 cuvettes in there, and the holder is what changes temperature. So the holder is what we are interested in. And if you wanted to start, you probably want to start immediately if you're only having 1 temperature. When people are doing scans, they like to hang around at the bottom or at the top or something like that. So we'll consider this done. Move to control. This is another little special feature of this software. If you tell it that this is the baseline, it will subtract that from all the rest of the scans that day. I think that's kind of cool. But some people don't like that. They want to see what the baseline looks like.
Okay.
See, if you ask it to do the baseline, you'll see it visually and then it'll disappear. And
Okay.
you'll never see it again, except it will be subtracted from all subsequent scans.
Okay.
So you want to go for that for now?
Yeah.
Have it do it? Sure. See how you think it goes. Okay, now the shutter we want to open and close automatically. We don't want to have to do that. And you would only close it between measurements if you had light sensitive material.
Okay.
Okay, so this is all set. Go to information. This sample name is going to be the file name
Okay.
for your first scan. You'll also have another chance to change this if you realize it's
Okay.
not right. And you can put a whole bunch of information in here if you want.
Okay.
This will all be in the file header.
Okay.
You might want to take out THF. I don't think that's your solvent.
Nope, it's not.
Right. But you can also just leave everything blank, just put in a file name. Okay? So now you can move over to data. We're going to have it auto-save the data into your folder, but we have to make you a folder. On the desktop in the JASCO data folder, everybody has a personal folder. And what we're going to do is make two subfolders inside there. One is called raw data, or you can call it something else later, and the other one is called converted data. You'll see at the end what that's all about. And it's going to file it by that sample
Okay.
name that we gave it. It's also going to send it to spectroanalysis. Most people are not using spectroanalysis to do their analysis, but if you have a bunch of samples, it will show them to you overlaid,
Oh,
which is kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's kind of good. So now, these are your parameters. To save them for the future, so you don't have to remember all this next time, click Save, and go to your folder. Okay, and now to send these parameters to the machine, you hit OK. So now we're ready to scan your blank.
Okay.
Why don't you bring your stuff over here? The quartz cuvette requires that you wear gloves.
Yes.
It's actually the oil in our hands that will etch the quartz. And these are very specialized cuvettes. I'll give you the household hints of how to work with them. Because it's a really skinny little area, it's tricky to get liquid in and out.
Yeah.
So why don't you stand it in this nice, soft, wide enough
And we'll
item.
clean the outside up.
Oh, there's lens tissue there. It's everywhere in this room for cleaning all sorts of things. We'll find out if this is clean when we try to scan your water.
Looks kind of.
Oh, it looks awful.
Yeah,
Well,
it's filthy.
let's just put water in and see just how bad it is.
Okay.
Sometimes the insides of these cuvettes get a little etched
Okay.
and won't actually affect the light, but we won't know that until we try something. Okay, so this is a tiny little opening. The way we get liquid in and out of there is we use gel loading tips
Okay.
because they're small enough to fit in there.
Yes.
And we want to put in 250 microliters.
Okay.
Only a P200 fits
Okay.
the gel loading tips, so you have to do 2 shots of 125.
Set it so 125.
125, yeah. Or you can put more if you want, but you only really need 250 microliters.
Okay.
And the gel loading tips are right there. Have you worked with those before?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know you have to move slowly.
Yes.
Okay, so the blank. So the hint about getting this loaded without adding any bubbles is tilt it on its side, and you're exactly right. Run the liquid down the narrow side of it.
Okay. So like down.
Yeah, and that's how we don't add bubbles. Bubbles aren't the end of the world. I mean, if we had a bubble, we'd just start over again. It's
Okay.
not death.
It's one.
That's not acting clean, is it? Okay.
No.
Put in another shot of 125, and we'll just make sure.
Make sure.
You may be learning how to clean a cuvette.
Yeah.
A lot of training sessions start that way, unfortunately.
Gotta learn it sometime.
You do.
Getting it. Oh. Ooh, there's like nasty inside of it too.
Can you actually see stuff floating?
I saw something starting to float up.
Oh, no.
It's kind of gross.
Oh, well, we're about to find out. You want to put this lid in there just so nothing falls in there. especially if you're going to be doing temperature work. There is writing on one side of this cuvette and not on the other, and there should be. Is there?
Yeah, there's writing on this side.
Okay. You always want to put the cuvette into the machine in the same orientation.
Okay.
In case there's a flaw in the cuvette, you always want it to be in the same spot.
So it's consistent. Okay.
Yeah, so always remember writing to the left or right, whichever is more intuitive to you.
Okay.
Okay, so now you can lift up this lid and you'll see where the cuvettes go. You see we have space for 6.
Yes.
If you ever have 6, you can just go wild. So put it in
Does it go
slot number 1.
in like this?
That's the only way it's going to fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
facing-
the light's coming across it, yeah.
Okay.
And be careful when you don't cut yourself putting it all the way to the bottom. So now you can close the door and make sure it makes a snapping noise. Blink. Okay, so what we're going to do, because we asked it to do baseline, 2 things are lit up here. One is B for baseline and S for sample.
Okay. So
So click on B, and we'll get what the news is here. Okay, it says you're just going to do
'Cause
your
there's a slot-
specified
slot
cell.
one.
Yeah, and you say yes. Here's your CD signal coming in there.
Okay.
Here's your HT, your voltage. If that gets up to 800 volts, then you're in trouble.
Okay.
And here's the absorbance. When these are all flat and boring, everything is good. So now it's got your baseline, and you can take this out and put in your first sample.
Okay.
Now, knowing how to empty this thing is another trick.
I was gonna say. I'm gonna have to take-
We can just close this part way, just keep the dust out.
Yes.
The safest way to empty this, and you might want to learn this for later because you can recover your sample
Yes.
in the future, is to take it out with a tip. Tilt this, so try to pretend you're going to pour it out. It will never pour out,
Oh, okay.
believe me. Not without a lot of force.
Just wanna-
It doesn't want to move. Maybe we can get it.
Maybe if I give it a
Break
little
the
bit of
surface.
help.
There you go. You start to suck it out. There you go. Perfect.
Yay.
Okay, and that you can just squirt into the sink if you want, so you don't need to save that. We figure with being as careful as we can get down to about maybe 2 or 3 microliters left in there. And most people say, that's okay, that's not going to dilute my sample much.
Yeah.
Now we can load in contestant number 1.
And do you always load like exactly 250, or it's a little bit more,
More is okay.
but not less?
The light slit is a 2 centimeter tall. It's actually a slit.
Okay.
And as long as you're at 250, you've covered the whole slit, the sample. So there's sample 1,
Okay. Yep.
and it goes into the same place the blank went.
Good. Making sure that
Make sure the writing is on the correct side, whichever side that is. Close it out. And now this time, on the software, you're going to click on S, and it is checking with you, is this the right name?
Okay.
I think that's a great feature. Say okay. And it said, okay, only cell 1. Okay, yeah. And whoops. There we go. Finally, it's going to start heading to
Starting
4
to-
degrees. It's going to take a little while, but it's Peltier. It's pretty quick. Oh, look, some structure is happening here.
Is that
This
good
does not
structure?
look like baseline. That's good.
Okay. So here's the.
We start small here, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there's sample 1, and now you can recover it if you trust that it's been in this cuvette. And now we have to think about cleaning this cuvette in between your samples too. I would sort of hook my finger around the shoulder to make sure I don't.
Oh, smart. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
See if you can get the stream to just go down in there. There you
Oh,
go.
there it goes.
Okay. And there is a trick. See, the water, if you squirt it in there at the top, it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So empty it out again, whichever safe way you want to do it, and just fill it halfway this time. I'll show you. This is a trick that we do. You can't fit anything down in there. It's only a millimeter wide.
Yeah.
Nothing fits in there. So what we do is we fill it up halfway and then rock the big bubble back and forth. That's the way we scrub it. Yeah, it's about half. And then ideally we block off the top with our finger and rock the bubble back and forth. That's the way we scrub the inside of that thing.
Okay.
Some people like to do ethanol. And I say, well, if you do that, do water afterwards. Even the 200 proof ethanol leaves a haze on these things.
Oh, really?
It's remarkable, yeah. Who would have thought? And you don't want a haze on a quartz cuvette that's going to have light going through it. So we have options here. If you want to blow the inside of this dry, we have an option for that. Do you want to see where that is?
Sure.
Over here. You can dry off the outside with lens tissue. We have lens tissue everywhere because it's so much cheaper than all the quartz cuvettes.
Yes.
I say use as much as you need.
Okay.
And then this is a filtered compressed air line.
Okay.
So you can turn on your flow rate here. We're not supposed to go above 20 psi. Somebody, safety people will be mad. Okay. And I would recommend holding it upside down, let gravity work for you, and move the airstream around as things happen. If you hold the airstream in one spot, there's one little place that never dries.
Yeah.
There's probably someone at MIT who can explain the aerodynamics of that. But we've just seen it empirically. We know it's true. And you can get this as dry as you want to in between each sample. And now you're ready for your second sample. So for the closing down, we always record the, excuse me, can we move this?
Yes.
We don't need this anymore.
Oh, okay.
We record the HT voltage at 300 nanometers. This is sort of a way to see how the lamp is doing age-wise.
Okay.
So it says here, change the wavelength manually to 300, same way you did that before. Go to the nanometer, 300. Now it moves. Of course, the shutter is closed again, so you have to open the shutter again. Okay, whatever. And in a moment, some voltage will fly up there. There we go.
259.9.
Yeah. So you record that in the book.
Okay.
And now we close all the Jasco software so the drivers can be terminated. So close that one,
Okay.
and then close that one, and we wait a minute or so. If you try to close all of them too fast after the analysis one, it hangs up and says, I can't close that. That one's still running. We know it's not, but we've learned the tricks of this.
We'll let it go.
We'll humor it.
Yes, there's the word. Okay, so now
Okay, let's try it now. Okay, so when it says terminating the drivers, that means you got them all.
Perfect.
Yeah. And now you can switch off the CD.
So that's the switch.
Back here. Off. And now you turn off the nitrogen. And we'll see that black plug hits the bottom. And now you record the time that you do this into the book. And the last thing is to turn off the chiller. That little switch, pull it forward. Yeah. And you see the pinwheel stops, the fan stop. Okay. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to convert your data. The data is now in the file extension .jws, which is nothing unless you're in their software. We will convert it to CSV, and then you can email that to yourself.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is the converting data page. Go back to Spectrometer, open that guy again. And now at the bottom of the analysis pile, it says file converter, so double click on that. And the format, the source is going to be the standard files for these guys. And the destination you can pull down from there. Most people like CSV.
Okay.
That's Excel. And now the source folder, we're going to go find your raw data folder.
So
Jasco data for you. Yeah. Carolyn, raw data, that's the source. So say okay. And then the destination is that one folder we made called converted data. It needs two different folders. It can't move things within a folder. And now you found it, you have 5 files, so click convert. Bloop. Okay, now it just converted them. So they're now all in CSVs. And we asked people not to use flash drives on this. We did get a virus on here once. It was very sad.
Yes, I did.
So if you could email your CSVs to yourself using MIT mail. The IT guys say that's a little more secure than Gmail,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, I know.
So then you can turn off the computer at the screen, shut it down, ta-da.